This is Cinema Sunday. After the credits movie reviews.
Welcome back to a long overdue episode of Cinema Sunday. I'm your host, professional voiceover artist John Bailey. If anybody's in the Mid-South area, right around the tri-state area of Memphis, where Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi meet, Anime Blues Con coming up this coming weekend. I'll be a guest there. You got Johnny Young Bosch will be there, several other special guests, cosplay contests, the whole shebang-a-bang. This coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I will be there pretty much the entire weekend, so I hope to see you guys there. Also coming up for SavCon, I'll be a guest at SavCon as well as the amazing Greg Berger, Daniel Ross. We also got Lee Takar, who did the voice of Ravage, who I based Ravage the Insult comic bot on. And that's going to be awesome. And I'll also catch Microphone Monday coming up. Got two amazing interviews coming up on Microphone Mondays, where we'll be interviewing Jack Angel as well as Michael Bell. That's going to be awesome. So you guys stay tuned. Recently, I got to see Prometheus. That was the most recent one. Prometheus is visually very, very cool looking. It's got a lot of the homages or the nods to the original Aliens, Alien Resurrection, all those different movies, but it's a separate movie in and of itself. Basically, you have a crew of people going to answer the big question, where did we come from? And everyone has a different belief on that, so I won't get into it. But basically, there's only one actual alien from the Xenomorphs that we know of at the very, very end, and it's not even the one we know. It's just a version of that. But you kind of see, where it came from. It went from biological weapon to creature to human and to alien and then back to human again, and then it becomes a giant face hugger, and then it becomes bonds with more alien DNA to finally become the Xenomorph that we know. So there's a lot of incarnations of this thing, but that's not really the story of this movie, which is what I thought it would be. I thought it would be kind of how the aliens came to exist, but the movie leaves a lot of unanswered questions, so I may end up having to watch it again just to get the gist of it. And they don't explain why one of the men who supposedly was killed shows up back at the ship all bent in half, all exorcist-like, and then he just starts going crazy and attacking everybody, and then they burn him and shoot him and run over him, and then he's finally dead. They don't explain why he did that. If he was him or if he was being controlled by an alien, they just leave it open. But I still think it's worth seeing because it's really cool. Story kind of weak, but visually really awesome. So it's definitely worth seeing. I'm not going to say it's a must-see, but it's worth seeing, especially in the theater because it's got great sound, great music. Visually, it looks really, really nice. I also got to see Dark Shadows. I'm not a big fan, and I thought the way they promoted this thing, I thought it was going to be a comedy. It had comedic elements to it, but it wasn't a comedy. It was actually there was more drama than comedy in it. And from what I saw, the original Dark Shadows, it was kind of what they did with Lost and Land of the Lost. They kind of flipped it on its head and made a comedy out of something serious. But Johnny Depp, he's always good, and he was definitely funny. And the dynamic between the one who cursed him and the family, and it was very, very cool. And I'm pretty sure that the guests that come to the ball, that it's the original cast, or at least some of the members of the original cast of Dark Shadows, they looked very, very familiar, and their names were in the credits. I just didn't recognize them because that show's been out for a long, long, long time ago. But it's okay. I mean, if you have a dollar theater, that one's okay to see for a dollar theater or just for a rental, but I wouldn't pay full price to see this one. I would only give it maybe 2.5 stars. It's okay. Prometheus, I'd had to give maybe a 3.5, and I think that's being generous. I think it's closer to a 3, but I think 3.5 would be fair because the visual stuff really made up for what lacked in story. And my wife took our children. I had to work that day a lot, but my wife took our children to go see Madagascar 3, which I personally was going to boycott for Chris Rock's not funny remarks about how easy voice actors have it. But if you want to see the review of Madagascar 3, you can always go check out my kids' channel, Kids 3.0. I think they did a pretty good job explaining the funniest parts of it, and you can see why it was definitely a kids' movie. Got to see Men in Black 3. I think Men in Black 3 was much better than Men in Black 2, but it just wasn't... It wasn't what I thought Men in Black 3 should be. I saw someone comment in one of my videos that I think it was John Carter review, which a lot of people disagreed with me about that movie. But they said that you watch Men in Black 3, will be praised as a great movie. I don't think so. I don't think anybody's going to say Men in Black 3 was like, oh, it's a great movie. It has some great parts in it, but it wasn't a great movie. It was an okay movie. Again, I'd probably give it a 3, 3.5, somewhere in between there. 3.25 stars. Will Smith was good. I loved the villain was great. The villain is the same guy who played the crazy painter in Dinner for Schmucks. And he did a great job. I loved the voice that he did for that character. It's really, really cool. I've been trying to emulate it ever since. For some reason, I keep coming up with, it's just a street sweeper. It just has a really cool sound. You always have these little catchphrases that help you get into characters, and that for some reason that works it for me. But he played the animal. He was worth seeing. I love the way his character was very, very cool. But yeah, it's okay. It's not. It'd be. If there's nothing else to see and you haven't seen it, it's all right. If you just think you have to see it, you don't really have to see it. I'm not a real big fan of time travel movies because usually especially when the franchise has already been established, once you get into time traveling, it just kind of goes, I don't know why. Unless it starts as a time travel. Like Back to the Future did a great job of it. This one, not so much. I don't know. It seems like once you get into time, it starts getting too complicated. And I think when they promote this, they promote it to younger kids, even though it's a PG-13 film. And I think even for younger kids, I think this might get a little complex. It wasn't as complex as some time travel movies go or time travel TV shows go. I'm a big fan of Doctor Who, by the way. But I can see where at least, like the younger crowd would be like, wait, what? No. So, but I was really let down that Tommy Lee Jones was so in it so very little. I mean, I like the guy who played the younger version of Tommy Lee Jones. He did a great job. But there was something wrong with Tommy Lee Jones' makeup. He looked like when somebody actually works on somebody in the morgue, the makeup that they do to present them in the coffins. I don't know if they were trying to make him look younger, but it didn't work. He actually looked older. I mean, he literally looked like his skin was going to break off. And maybe it could have been the theater that I went to see it in, but he just didn't quite look right. And I know they can do a better job of making somebody look younger because we all saw, everybody that knows about the Hannibal movie, they made Anthony Hopkins, you couldn't tell that he was digitally made to look younger. And so I know it's possible. I just don't know why they didn't do it in this movie. It just didn't do a very good job with the makeup. He looked more like an alien than some of the aliens did. I also went to see What to Expect When You're Expecting, and they promoted this movie as a comedy, and again, it's more of a dramedy, but it's got more comedy than drama. But it was actually pretty good for a Chris Rock film. No offense, Tara, don't hate me. But because my wife and I have children, this movie kind of appealed to those of us who've either, this appeals to people who have gotten pregnant, people who have had children, people who have been parents for a while. It appeals to a pretty broad audience of adults. And it even gives some people who haven't had children a very good idea of what it's like to have kids. But it's funny and it's got some great moments in it. It's definitely not for little kids, but it was a good. I'm kind of glad that I took my wife to see it. It was kind of our date night movie, and I'm glad we went to see it because it was a lot of fun to watch. So I definitely have to give it at least 3 stars for certain group of folks, I guess. Younger kids, teenagers wouldn't be interested at all unless they're big on family. But it was a good film. I'll give it. I won't say it's a must see, but it was very decent, and I wouldn't mind seeing it again. I'll put it that way. It was pretty funny. The group of dads was just great. That made the film for me because they were a funny group. They're the no judging and all the horrible things they'd done as fathers. I won't say that I've done some of those things, but they remind me of when I was a young dad. As far as TV shows, Tron Uprising, wow, man, that show is good. I'm already predicting it's going to end up being a five-star series. Right now, I'm at 4.5, but it wouldn't take much for me to say that. The only thing I don't like is the choice of the voice actor for the character who's going to be the next Tron. Supposedly, I don't think Mr. Frodo has the voice for that character. It sounds too young and not serious action hero to me. I would have much rather than got the guy who did Terry McGinnis's voice. And but other than that, I mean, the music is just music was my favorite part of Tron Legacy, and the music again is just killer in this. And it really, really cool. So you definitely should check that one out. And I'll see you at the theater.
Insert shameless ravage the insert comic plug right here, yes.